Hey there, it's Pocket here with another Game Face, and this week I'm going to be covering Guild Wars 2 crafting to level 80. The secret world reaches 1.3 registered beta testers, and the little fiasco with the game called Habbo. So basically, in Guild Wars 2, you're going to be able to craft your way to level 80, and what this means is, and I am quoting a post, the way leveling XP gain works in crafting for this is for leveling a discipline from 0 to 400, you gain 10 levels as well. By maxing out all 8 disciplines, you will gain 80 levels. That means you could dedicate a character to crafting, feed it all the mats you get on other characters, and level it all the way to 80 without ever needing to kill a single monster. As hardcore crafters, we think this is pretty cool. Now, I'm not really a hardcore crafter. In fact, the only game that I've actually maxed any sort of crafting is in WoW, and that's because I don't even know what, but I wanted rocket boots, and so I leveled engineering and I leveled tailoring because I wanted the flying carpet, because that's how I think. When I want a certain thing in something, I'll do it, but it's very painful for me because I'm not really into the whole crafting and all of that. There are a lot of people who are into that, but you know, I guess the issue that a lot of people are seeing here is, or not a lot, but quite a few, is that it's pay to win. You'll end up being able to buy gems, which will get you gold, which will buy mats off the auction house. And I could kind of see where that's an issue, but I don't really consider that pay to win, because if you think about it, the first wave of 80s aren't going to be able to do this. They're going to have to actually level up a legit character through PvE or World v World or whatever they happen to do. It's like they're going to have to level themselves up and not through crafting. It's like you're going to have to wait until these people hit 80 and put stuff on the auction house, or at least while they're leveling up and they're putting stuff on the auction house before you can even buy that stuff. And so, I mean, I don't really see too much of an issue. Plus, if you want to spend a ton of money to buy gems, to get gold, to go and buy mats on the auction house, then I don't really see too much of an issue with that, because it's not like you're gaining, you're not buying items, you're not buying gear, you're not buying, you might call it buying a level 80 per se, but you're not guaranteed that the mats are even going to be on the auction house. You're not, guaranteed a set price for those mats on the auction house. And so how much you end up spending could really vary, because it just depends on supply and demand. Now, going on a tangent a little bit, I do want to say that, leveling through crafting sounds amazing for people who want to craft. I personally won't ever take advantage of that, probably. But it does feel like on a different leveling front that World v World seemed a little slower than PvE and what crafting will turn out to be. And I say that because the first server I was on was just moderately active. It wasn't a big Zerg server, and it wasn't a completely dead server. It was moderately active. And so the amount of levels I gained through it was actually really slow, and it was better for me to go in just PvE. And especially if they add an experience boost for PvE, then it would certainly be better for me to go in PvE and level up a lot faster. I did have friends that were on the same server that they leveled through PvE, and I leveled through PvP, World v World specifically, obviously. And I got to about level 15 in the first beta, and they got to, 30 and around that area. My friends did, at least. I just felt like I am going to be forced into PvEing when I don't really want to in Guild Wars. I'd rather just go in World v World, but I can't World v World because I'm on a moderately active server that forming a large group, large enough to take on some of these other Zerg groups, is rough. Eventually that will even out after a few months of everything cycling, and eventually you get put up with servers that are the same size as yours, or around the same rating as yours at least. And so I do expect it to even out eventually, but at the same time, I felt like World v World was a bit slower than I anticipated. Now, keep in mind that I also, at the end of the beta, I did transfer off onto a more active Zerg server just to see the difference, and the level gain I got on the Zerg server in World v World was significantly higher. It was significantly higher than what I was getting on a moderately active server. And so, I don't know, it really depends. I mean, I guess if I want to level that fast through Will Be World, I'm going to have to choose a Zerg server, else I'm going to be stuck with PvE as my backup option. So Funcom announces that it had 1.3 million registered beta testers, and that they've gotten a ton of positive feedback with a lot of people who have the intent of playing the game. Now, first of all, I just want to point out that saying 1.3 million registered beta testers doesn't really mean much, because people can register multiple accounts, or that doesn't mean that 1.3 million people played in the beta. It just means that 1.3 million were registered, whether it was multiple accounts or not. And so that's kind of like a play on numbers, and I feel like a lot of developers obviously do. They just take advantage of blowing up their numbers beyond what they actually are, and I think a lot of people don't really see through that. Every game from Blizzard to every game, you could just, they blow up their numbers, and so whatever, getting past that, it's like with the intent of playing, that doesn't mean people who actually pre-order the game. There's no stats for that, obviously, but that can always change, people who buy the game versus returning it and all of that. And I'm like doing weird hand motions like I'm singing a song. Anyway, I mean 1.3 million registered is still good. Maybe the ballpark area for it is actually 900k, and the 400 extra are, I don't know, people who didn't actually play maybe. But that's still good. 900k for, you know, I think that's good. I'm not surprised by the numbers, because a lot of new people have gotten into MMOs, and if there's a lot of people who have been in MMOs for a long time. Like, I've been playing since I was 13, and I'm 97 now, so I've been playing for a long time. No, I have been playing for over 10 years, and started with Ultima Online, and, you know, Ultima Online was the only game I got thoroughly just addicted to. I loved playing it, and I played it on and off for 7 years. However, you know, a lot of MMO players like me are growing tired of MMOs, and we're getting sort of jaded by them. And so I guess there are gamers like me that are sort of just trying out all these different MMOs. So a new MMO pulling in 1 million beta testers, or over 1 million beta testers in a weekend, isn't surprising whenever there's a lot of people that are like, hey, I really want to try out a new game, and this one looks a little different. So Finnish game company Sulaki, or Sulake, or however you say it, has come under a lot of fire due to Channel 4 News putting out an article regarding their game called Habbo. And with Habbo, there's a lot, it's a social game for teenagers, and of course adults can also join. There's no age restriction, it's just 13 and up. And that's one of the issues, is that, well, there's a lot of hateful and vulgar, perverted, violent chat going on. And, you know, whether it's with the adults saying it to younger children, or the children saying it to each other. And so with the adults saying it to younger children, there needs to be moderation. I know you can't moderate the ages, because, I mean, if you get a pedophile, he can just pretend to be 14 and then say this stuff, and that's how he'll get through that. And so you need moderators to go in there, and basically they got rid of their moderators. They had volunteer moderators, and the volunteers were basically let go, and now since then the chat apparently has gone downhill, according to a few people that have been playing the game for a long time. And so people just get away with a lot of what they're saying. And so there maybe needs to like be added a delay to the chat, so that way you can't sit there and keep talking bad things. Like, you get a delay and then you could report them. Or there needs to be some sort of, you know, just a chat delay, in the sense that when you press enter and when it shows up, there's like a 5 to 10 second delay, and you have a moderator sitting there and banning or deleting all the comments that aren't appropriate. It's like they do need to have some sort of moderation. All games have moderation in some way. Most games, I mean. Most games. And so, especially big games. This is a big game. It has millions of players. And so you can't just get away with not having moderation in a game that has millions of players. If you look at WoW, even WoW has moderation, plus WoW has parental controls. And that's really important, because, well, you know, a parent can't always be hovering over their child like, what are you doing? It's like they can't always be doing that, and so adding parental controls really helps with that. Plus, you know, if someone says something inappropriate, then you send in a ticket saying this guy said horrible things and he should probably be timed out or banned, and they look into it and they're like, oh, yeah, you're right. He should probably get a suspension, if not permanently banned, because he keeps doing it. It's like, that's really important. But another important thing is if teens are talking to one another, dirty talk, then they're not going to just do it through a game called Habbo. They're going to do it through other games. They're going to do it through those online sites that, like, where you can play chess and checkers and all these other different card games. It's like, because those have chat rooms, or they can do it through Facebook or Twitter, direct messages, or they could just go to school and talk that way to girls or boys. It's like, these aren't the only places that children talk bad. You can't just blame the video game company for a child going in and saying perverted or hateful things. Where are the parents? This goes back to where are the parents. And so, parents, you need to monitor your children. I have friends that have children, and they have a television, and right next to it, or close to it, they have a desk, and they'll be watching TV while their child is playing on the internet, and they can see what their child's doing, and if it looks like they're doing something fishy, they can check it out. Plus, they check the history and the chat logs and, you know, the cookies, just to see, oh, where's he been? And, I mean, granted, there are some kids that are smart enough to be able to hide that from their parents, but check on your kid regularly. Be a parent. I don't know. I could go on forever about this, but it comes down to multiple different things, you know. They need moderators in their game because it's really popular and obviously bad things are going on in it. Or, you know, and parents need to check on their children more and make sure they're not doing this kind of stuff, that they know better, and that they will get in trouble if they continue to do it.